I said Daniel's on the plane. We're good.
Oh,
With good luck.
are you sure it doesn't have anything on?
Yes. I haven't gotten it yet. Hold on.
Let's see if you get a notification.
It hasn't popped up yet. There we go. Now it just came up. Oops.
Let's wait a few minutes.
So are we live already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
nice.
just got the notification.
Nice.
We're going to give it a couple of minutes here to give people a chance to join. If you're just joining us, thank you very much. We'll be with you in just a couple of seconds. We're coming to you live tonight from South Florida Solar Headquarters.
Hey Nate, how are you? Okay, let's see here. Are you on our? Let's see here. I'm getting. You're watching.
I wish I could see who is.
That's what I'm trying to see here. Okay, give me a few seconds here. Let me take a look. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Here, hold on. Let me look.
He's added as a co-host.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
But I think you have to invite them to the broadcast once you start
Yeah,
broadcasting.
you have to invite him after, which is what I'm.
Do we have anybody on live yet with us?
Yeah. We have 6 people. I don't know if you want to
So-
start with an intro. And
Well,
we'll just bring me in.
So we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Welcome to our live Facebook question and answer section and the exciting brand new IQ8 microinverters from Enphase. I'm Raul Vergara. I'm with Color-Based Solar Solutions. Joining me here tonight is Eduardo Rodriguez. He's our professional engineer. And we're getting on the line now Nathan Charles, direct from Enphase. So help us answer some of your questions. So to give you a little bit of background, the reason why I'm so excited tonight is because this is a product that has been in the making for many years. This is a revolutionary improvement to the solar industry. This is the first time that we have had the opportunity to offer our customers a choice to use their solar panels on and off the grid with daylight backup. The IQ8 is the next generation in technology. The IQ of this apparatus is off the charts. The IQ8 is capable of maintaining your solar array working even in the event of a power outage. As long as we have sunlight and as long as we have uninterrupted light onto your panels. It is affected by clouds and or shading issues. So it is a limited solution, but it does enhances the experience of owning a solar array, and it brings tremendous amount of value. What we're recommending our customers to do, and we'll talk a little bit more tonight as we start to get into the questions and answer part, is that we design your solar system with this IQ8 technology and a minimal battery backup. The benefit, the value of installing this microinverter technology is that we are now limitless in the amount of panels that we can maintain running in a grid outage. And then by designing and again sizing correctly the amount of batteries for your particular circumstance, we are able to ensure that your loads are able to be maintained. So let me let Eduardo introduce himself and what his role here in Cutler Bay is, and then if we are able to get Nathan on the table, he'll introduce himself, and then we'll go right into your questions. So if you have questions, please send them in, and we'll address them as they come in. Thank you very much for joining us, and let us know what we can answer for you. Eduardo?
Thank you, Raul. So my name is Eduardo. I'm the electrical engineer for Cutler Bay Solar Solutions. And I'm really excited to be with you today to talk about the IQ8. So today, like Raul says, we're gonna be answering questions, everything related with the IQ8 itself, batteries, integration, and everything that has to do with any technical data that you wanna know, design aspect, or anything that you might be wondering how this system works and how can we take advantage of this grid forming inverter that's the IQ8. So yeah, just waiting here for...
Absolutely. Nathan, are you live with us, Nathan?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not
Okay,
yet.
so I'll start taking questions, and Nathan will join us. Again, he's joining us remotely, directly from Enphase, so he'll let us know when he's on. But I can start answering some of the questions. We have Kara with us.
Hi.
He's our social media director, and she'll be letting us know what those questions are, and then we'll try to answer them.
Perfect. Okay, so we had a lot of questions come in leading up to this. Our first one, I would say the main difference, you kind of talked about it a little bit. What is the main difference between the IQ7s and the IQ8s?
So the main difference is that the IQ8 can form its own grid. So it's a grid forming inverter. That's a big difference. So before the IQ7 or IQ6 or all the previous versions, once the grid goes out, those microinverters has to be disconnected because they basically need a frequency and a voltage in order to generate power. So they cannot create its own grid. So with the IQ8, it can actually generate that frequency and that voltage to create the energy even without the grid. So that's the main difference, I would say. You want to say something, right?
In a nutshell, that's the main difference between the two of them. Before the IQ8, we did not have the capability of creating the house-owned microgrid unless the grid was there. With the grid forming inverter of the IQ8 technology, we now have the ability to create the house-owned microgrid, allowing the homeowner, while there's sunlight in the daytime, to maintain power to those essential loads.
Okay, this is a popular question for our current customers. So I have an IQ7 with battery backup. Should I upgrade to IQ8s?
If you already have the IQ7 with battery backup, there is no need to upgrade to the IQ8. Your batteries, and we have one here as an example, your battery backup already has the built-in IQ8 technology. So if you have already made the investment into the battery backup, there is no value to change your IQ7s on the rooftop, as you already are enjoying the benefits and the stability of the storage solution.
Yes, and I will want to add that the IQ8, when paired with a battery system, is going to behave pretty much the same as the IQ7 plus a battery system. So there's not a big difference. There are differences, and we're going to discuss that in the future. But the main thing that you're going to do with the IQ7, IQ6, or whatever is charge the batteries when there's enough sunlight. You're going to charge the batteries, and nighttime you're going to run off of the batteries. And there's not a big difference if you already have the battery backup installed. So you're not going to get you're not gonna get the return on investment that you're looking for just by swapping the IQ7 for IQ8. I wouldn't say worth it.
Okay, so what about a customer that currently has IQ7s, but they do not have battery backup? Do you think it's worth them switching over to IQ8s?
As of today, the IQ8 has been rolled out as an independent platform. So where we're designing a system today with the IQ8, that system is going to have several components. That system is going to have the solar panel. It's going to have the IQ8, IQ8 Plus, IQ8, or several different versions of that IQ microinverter 8 technology. It is going to involve an IQ gateway. It is going to involve an IQ system controller. And all of those components together are going to give you that grid tie forming capabilities. If today what you have on your rooftop is IQ6, IQ7, to add all of these additional components may not be the best solution. We would like to take a look at each individual instance on its own, because every house merits looking at it individually. Just like we do not do a cookie cutter solution for everybody with a solar system, this is not a cookie cutter solution. But what we are finding as of now, and this might change in the future, but with the current information that we have as of today, it is a better value for an existing customer to look into a storage solution than it is to make the investment into retrofitting and adding all of the additional equipment needed for the IQ8. And please reach out to us individually with your individual house so we can take a close study of your house and come up with a better solution. But you do have a choice, and you do have the ability to upgrade if you wish.
So for the customer that does wish to upgrade their system to IQ8s, is it as simple as just switching out the microinverters, or does it entail more than that?
No. So the IQ8 needs certain components to work. So if you want to use the IQ8 to work when you're off the grid without a battery backup, you're gonna need a special gateway, special Empower, which now the name of Empower, which is?
It's the IQ gateway and the system controller.
System controller. So you're gonna need a new version of the system controller, a new version of the gateway, and what was the question again, Kara?
If today you want to upgrade from the IQ7, not only do we have to switch out your microinverters from the existing ones to the new IQ8 microinverters, but we will have to add to your system a IQ system controller, and we're going to have to also upgrade your existing communication device to an IQ gateway. And all of these components working together are going to give you the ability to form the off-the-grid and on-the-grid capability of running your home.
Okay, I've heard the term sunlight backup. What does this mean?
So sunlight backup refers to the IQ8 working without a battery bank. So sunlight backup will be your IQ8s forming its own grid and isolating you from the grid when you have, you have a power outage. And sunlight backup refers to the fact that you're going to be running off of the sunlight. So let's say that you have 10 kilowatts being produced in your roof. At any given time, the IQ8 will try to match the production with the consumption. So as long as the production exceeds the consumption, your system will be able to work, keep the frequency and voltage up, and will be able to power your loads. If for any reason the consumption exceeds the production, your system will shut off. And that's the reasoning for sunlight backup.
And one of the main reasons, because this is a sunlight backup system, that we recommend a small amount of battery depending on your loads. Small by definition might be different from different people depending on the particular loads for the house and what loads the homeowner wishes to operate. And by having a small battery storage system, that levels the loads and levels the production. So if your house is producing 7 kilowatt hours, for example, and storm clouds come over your house and your production dropped from 7 to 4, the battery will have the ability to fill in the gap, allowing the home to maintain operation without affecting your equipment.
Okay, I think the next question ties into that a little bit. Somebody is asking, how does this work in the dark? How does this work at night?
So the IQ8 technology is exactly what it says. It is sunlight backup system. Without a storage solution, without the additional of the IQ batteries, it will not work at night. You will have enough power, and as the sun gets lower and lower, the production will keep dropping. It will affect, how many loads you can maintain running at your house. And eventually, as Eduardo was saying before, once your loads are higher than your production, the system will turn off until the sunlight returns in the morning and the production gets enough to meet your loads demand. So this is not a nighttime storage solution. The IQ8 on its own, it is a daylight sunlight backup solution.
Okay, somebody is asking, is the Enphase website a good source to use to build your system, or is it inaccurate?
We were so impressed when we saw the upgrades to the Enphase system. But I will tell you that it is better to bring in an expert. We have expert consultants that can work with you, because the information that you're going to get from the Enphase website, while it is accurate, it is only as accurate as the information you fit in. I'm sure we've all heard the term, the information you get out is only as good as the information you put in. It is technical information. It is information that we as solar installers understand. It is what we're here for. And it's a free source of information. We do not charge for this service. So if you allow us, if you communicate with us and you bring us into your home, we'll be very happy to help you. We can use the tools so you can understand how we're doing this. But Eduardo is really good at what he does. And I'm sure that he can help us and make sure the information we put in is correct to ensure that your system is designed correctly.
Yes, I will say we always try to be realistic with the customer. We try to set the right expectation from the beginning. And with the IQ8 especially, we have to be super careful of the system size and the expectation, because for the longest time, customers think that the panels will still working when the when the grid goes out, if you don't have batteries, which wasn't true until now. With the IQ8, you will be able to use your solar panels without a battery bank, but it's not as straightforward as it looks like. As long as you got enough solar, the system will work. But if you got any load that exceeds, even for a fraction of a second, the production, the system might collapse. So we need to be really careful what we connect to your battery bank-less system. So if you're not installing batteries, we have to be extremely careful what we connect on your critical, let's say, critical load panel. So yeah, that's why I always recommend at least have a minimum, maybe 10 kilowatt hour battery, at least, just to fill up the gaps, like Raul said.
The battery addition, and you don't have to do it all at once. This is a system that's scalable, so you can start without batteries and add batteries into the future. But adding the battery to this system really gives you the biggest bang for your buck, because not only are you able to now level the loads, now you will have some, depending on the amount of batteries, some expectation of being able to run some of your loads in the nighttime. So for example, on a typical house that has a 10 kW worth of solar panels on the roof, if we do that with the IQ8, you'll be able to maintain your loads running during the daytime, and then at nighttime, if we have a simple 10 kW worth of battery, those loads that are critical, the lights at your house, the refrigerator, some of your smaller loads, you will also be able to maintain. If you would like to run some of your larger loads, water heaters, air conditioners, any kind of larger load, then we have to size the battery storage solution to meet that load capability. And again, we have tools and we have the understanding to be able to do that for you.
Okay, I think we're getting Nate to join right behind us.
He can't see us.
Careful, careful.
Are we able to?
I told him.
Nate, are you with us?
Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question while we wait for Nate. So this question we've got in a few different variations, but so basically the question is, can you mix IQ8s and IQ7s in the same system?
As I mentioned earlier, with this rollout, at this time, only the IQ8s are going to be its own platform. They're going to work independently from any previous versions of this technology. That might change in the future, but we have no information to lead us to believe that right now. All the information that we have and all the equipment available today is for IQ8 technology to be independent and its own platform.
Okay, here's the question. Is it the same Enphase and power switch?
No. As we mentioned before, one of the reasons why we believe it's not the greatest value to upgrade your existing system, it is because you do also have to change from the Empower that you have today to the new IQ8 system controller.
What is the warranty behind these IQ8s?
So the warranty component has not changed, similar to the same warranty that you have with the IQ7 and IQ6s. The IQ8 roll out with the same warranty from Enphase.
Okay, another big question that people are waiting for is the cost. What is the cost of an IQ8?
So we are really happy as the technology has rolled out. One of the things that we have found is that the increase in cost for the IQ8 is minimal. We're looking less than 15% of the components, which does not add 15% to your system. It is just simply 15% of the components.
Okay, we have Nate.
And we now have Nate with us. Hey Nate, how are we doing tonight?
Hello, I'm doing amazing. How are you guys doing?
Fine, thank you. So we've been trying to answer some of the questions. If you have any very technical questions, Nate is with Enphase, and he is an expert on the field. He has actually been a huge part of the technology phase of these products, and he can speak to us with a whole different level of depth than we are able to as your installer. So let's shoot some questions to Nate.
Okay, we have a few questions. One question is, what is rapid shutdown?
That's a great question. So, historically, there's two things that we're concerned about. Solar energy has typically been DC, it's direct current. So solar panels produce direct current. So up on the roof, you have many PV modules in series, and you can get some high DC voltages, which can be dangerous in the case of first responders having to respond to a safety issue. So rapid shutdown requires that you turn off all the DC on the roof and get it under to safe voltage within 30 seconds. Historically, microinverters had low voltage DC on the roof, so we didn't ever have to do anything about DC, but you also have to control the AC side of things as well. So essentially, you have to control both the DC and the AC conductors. So when you control the AC conductors, you have to get them also under 30 volts. In this new grid forming system, microinverters now produce a voltage. So we need a rapid shutdown initiator to essentially initiate rapid shutdown and create what's a touch-safe voltage on the roof. So there's no exposed voltage that could, hurt anybody in the case of they're responding to a safety, a thermal event like a fire or something at a site.
Nathan, that sounds like a very complex piece of equipment. And what will it require from me as a homeowner? What do I have to do? Do I have to go press a button? Do I have to flip a switch? Do I have to pull down a lever? What if I'm not home? What do I have to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as part of the National Electric Code, installers are required to label the location of the rapid shutdown initiator and put a label on it that says this is the rapid shutdown initiator. So there are several styles of rapid shutdown initiators. By having several different options, we can accommodate different install experiences. Enphase has a custom branded Enphase rapid shutdown switch, which is a rotating disconnect. But you can also use lever style or toggle switches depending on the install.
So there's many safe choices available for the installs.
Yes.
Okay, we have a question. I have a new system on order, not yet installed. Should I change the order to IQ8s?
I think I can answer that best. Talk to your installer. Make sure that you let them know what is your expectation. What are your needs? Everybody's needs are different. That's why we always say that it's not a cookie cutter solution. What my expectation might be different than Eduardo's expectation. It might be different than John Smith's expectation. My needs are different. My wife and I, we live just two of us in the house. We have different needs than somebody else. I was talking yesterday to one of my customers who said, I don't really need the backup as much because my son lives 60 miles away. If I was to lose power in my house, the chances of both of us losing power 60 miles away from each other are very little. Either he will come to my house or I will go to his house. Again, those are individual needs. So depending on what your needs are, talk to your installer. He'll be able to guide you into what is a better solution for you. It's not one solution for everybody.
Okay, what is the minimum amount of batteries you need for a 4-ton AC and whole home backup for an 1,800 square foot home?
So it all depends on what AC you have, right? It depends on the compressor that you have. There are some compressors that require higher amperage to start, and other compressors that require very low amperage to start. These are the variable speed motors. So depending on what compressor you have, you might need from 20 kilowatt hours to 26 kilowatt hours, 30 kilowatt hours. It all depends on the compressor, the motor, because that's the unit that uses that inrush current, that initial current to start. So it depends, right? Depends on the AC unit that you have.
So Eduardo, correct me if I'm wrong, but there really are two components to answer that question as far as what size battery system do I need. There's the component of the loads, which is what you're referring to, meaning the inrush current. And there's also the component of time.
The expectation, for how long do you want to run it?
How long do you want to run those loads? Because as Nathan can tell you, Nathan, in your part of the country, I am sure that the battery banks are a lot smaller than in our part of the country. Am I not correct?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have to back up your HVAC, well then, your next largest load is going to be your hot water heater. And a lot of people have gas hot water heaters, meaning that there's some pretty small backup systems.
So it depends on the amount of load that you have and also the time that you want to run your load.
Okay, this question is for somebody that missed the beginning, but what does IQ8 do versus IQ7 with a 30 kW battery system? So IQ7 with whole home backup, what is the difference between that customer and an IQ8? Or does that customer need IQ8s?
So if you already have a battery backup system with IQ7, there is no benefit to the IQ8. The differences in performance, Nathan, would you say there's even a difference in performance between IQ7 and IQ8?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are going to be some differences. Obviously, the IQ8 is a much faster inverter. If you think about the IQ7 on a cycle by cycle basis, it's really like either choosing to inject complete power or not. Whereas the IQ8 is very, very fast and will be able to change the power output mid-cycle. So the advantage of that is you're going to be a lot more reactive to loads, and the IQ8 will be able to produce a lot more power during the day when you're off grid. So there are some advantages to doing. There are actually a lot of advantages to doing IQ8 on the roof, but if you have IQ7 and Encharge, that's going to be a great experience. If you have IQ8, you're going to probably be able to run a little bit more loads, but it will have a little bit more experience. A little bit faster experience in terms of the actual response time and producing power. But both will offer very good experiences.
Okay, maybe Nathan can answer this one. What is burst mode?
Great question. So burst mode is an efficiency feature where when you have low light conditions, the microinverter can actually store up energy in the capacitor and inject power every other cycle or maybe every third cycle. So that allows it to, when it's producing power, look like it has a lot more power behind it and produce power much more efficiently than if it was operating every cycle.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to read this one. I'd like to understand if a system that had approximately 10,000 watts of panels, how much of a load in amps or however could be run from sun only. I realize it varies with the sun, angle of panels, clouds, an approximate, and how many hours I'd have power to run fridge, freezer, and maybe a window AC during the day with a grid failure.
That's a great question. That's a really good question, and you've definitely put it in kind of the framing of it depends on sunlight. We'll just give you for instance here. So for I think it was a 10 kW DC system or 10 kW AC system.
Let's call it
specified.
Let's call it DC because most people that's what they're
All right, so we'll say that in kind of the best on kind of the very middle of the day with a 10 kW system, you'll probably have something like 7.5 kilowatts of real power available. When we have a fridge, we'll say the fridge is 300 watts. We have a freezer, we'll say that's another 300 watts, so that's 600 watts. And we have a window unit, we'll call that 1,500 watts. So let's round it to say 2,200 kilowatt hours, or 2,200 watts, 2.2 kilowatts. So the way sunlight works is it doesn't always consistently produce. Obviously it gets clouds, will knock it back, but it will come up a little bit in the day, beginning of the day. But by the time you get to 9 o'clock or so, it's going to be producing with a pretty good amount of output. So as essentially you've got probably about 7.5 kilowatts in the middle of the day, or 7.5 kilowatts in a day. You're probably only going to need about 2 kilowatts. So you're really only having about 30% of your system being used at any given time to support those loads. So I would expect that in most days you'd probably be able to power that.
And that's a very general terms with a lot of variable components. So understand, for specific cases, let us do some calculations for you. But that is when you're only running about 30% of your loads, that's a large area of safety, so that which are very, very, very good.
Can I order the IQ8s today?
Absolutely. We are taking orders.
Okay, what are the voltage watts supported by the IQ8 compared to the different IQ7 models?
I can run through that one. That's a great question. So with the IQ7, we had the IQ7, the IQ7 Plus, the IQ7X, and the IQ7A. So the power classes for those were 250, 295, 320, but that was only for 96 cell modules, and then 349, 366, depending on how you round it. With the IQ8 family, we have mostly the same power classes, but we now have a IQ8M. The IQ8M is a 330 VA that works with 1672 cell modules, so that's a new power class for us, as well as the IQ8H, which is 384 VA. So that will accommodate some of the larger, the very largest modules in the residential space.
How many versions of the IQ8 are there?
Yeah, so that relates right to that, so essentially there's 5 different letterers, and then there's actually a 6th variant for 208 for small commercial. So there's 6 different variants.
Can I install load control on a system with IQ7 and backup battery?
Yes, so the load control functionality exists for all system controllers. So the first system controller had 4 auxiliary contacts, 2 normally open and 2 normally closed. The system controller 2 for IQ8s also has the same configuration for load control. Both IQ7s and IQ8s support load control, and we'll have some additional options for load control coming out in the future.
How does this keep the lights on during an outage and still comply with rapid shutdown requirements? Is another piece of equipment required?
That's a great question. So I think this is actually getting into two different topics: rapid shutdown, and the other one is anti-islanding. So the second requirement, we talked a little bit about rapid shutdown and how we need to control the conductors on the roof. But the other part of this question is anti-islanding. So if there's an outage, generators can't be connected to the grid and backfeed power to the grid. So and essentially there's safety called anti-islanding detection that prevents and shuts down an inverter if it detects an island. So that ensures the utility lines are safe. They're not energized. We're never going to form an unintentional island, energy island. So when you say unintentional island, then it introduces the possibility of an intentional island. So the IQ8s form an intentional island, and the system controller is what we call a microgrid interconnect device, and it allows us to disconnect from the utility grid, form an intentional island, and then if the utility grid comes back, we can resynchronize to that grid and basically start exporting power to the grid again.
So as we're talking about before, this system has several components, and one of those components, being the IQ system controller, gives the ability for this anti-island and back to the island feature that allows the home to not only keep producing power, but only produce the power that it needs, and builds in the safety for anybody working on the lines without any interaction from the homeowner.
Yeah, and compared to the IQ7, we now are going to have a rapid shutdown initiator, which is a separate component that is going to be connected to the Empower. And that's one of the main differences with the IQ7 backup system.
When he's talking about the Empower, he's talking about the IQ system controller.
System controller.
Okay, if I had an 18 kilowatt panel system and wanted just a 10 kW battery, would I be able to use the full 18 kW solar array with an IQ8 in a grid down situation, or limited like I would be with the IQ7s?
So I'll let Eduardo.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
let me actually speak to that. So the answer to that is, yeah, you can use the full system capacity, both PV and storage off grid, and that goes back to the fact that the IQ8s on the roof are also grid forming. So they're very similar to the IQ8s in the battery. Together they all are forming power, producing power, and essentially we can run the IQ8 on the roof at a much higher power level. So yes, short answer is can be all together.
Mhm.
With the IQ7, we had a ratio of 7, depending on which microinverter version you were using, there was a ratio of panels to battery. With the IQ8, that ratio is taken out. There's no longer a minimum amount of IQ8s for the panels. Simply each individual panel has its own IQ8 built into it, and therefore allows you to maximize the use of your full system.
Yeah, and that gives you flexibility when designing the system and when expanding your existing battery bank. So you can start with a very small battery bank and then increase it without worrying to, I have to get rid of this number of panels to comply with the ratio, etc. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. And this only happens with the IQ8. No other AC coupled solution out on the market allows this. At this point, and all the other competitors AC coupled version always require a ratio. So if you exceed that, you always have to split and get rid of part of the solar grid tied system when working off the grid, to not overcharge or let's say overload the battery.
This is the first system on the market. Like Eduardo was saying, none of the other manufacturers in the market today have come up with a product that has these capabilities. This is a unique product in the market today.
Is IQ8 available to all certified Enphase installers? I think you're on mute.
You can probably answer that better.
That's a great question. So the short answer is yes, but you have to be certified, and there is a new certification and as an addition to the basic IQ ensemble system certification. So there was the IQ6, IQ7 certification, and then we added generator and load control certifications, and now we'll have IQ8 certification. So available to all IQ8 certified installers.
One of the things that at Color-Based Solar Solutions we've always done, because of the close partnership that we have developed with Enphase, we were able to even visit, the California labs and get our people certified at that lab. And now, as the new products have come out, we do have access to these products ahead of our competitors, and we do have the ability to complete those certifications. All of our team members at this time have already completed their certification. We have already installed this system, and we have systems operational, and we have had great success where actually has exceeded our expectations and the field in South Florida. Because as you all know, it's different what we do in South Florida than the rest of the country. So we do have hands-on experience with this system, and we are extremely excited about the results of the real-life installation.
Okay, we have a few questions coming in. How can I get a quote for my home?
Give us a call, 305-280-0638. We'll be happy to set you up with one of our consultants. They also have been certified on how to, understand and design this system, so they'll be able to give you the best solutions for your house.
Price difference between IQ7A versus IQ8s. How much for the shutdown module?
So at this point, we're looking at about a 15%, 10 to 15% increase in price between components. We're not talking about increase in price of the system. We're talking about increased price for the components. So very similar. It's great technology. It is a great value for this technology. It may not be the best solution to upgrade based on what equipment you have already invested, but it is a great investment if you're doing this brand new. And we do have the capability, if it's the right solution for you, to do the retrofit.
Do the IQ8s connect into the main panel? Do you use a critical load sub-panel?
Well, it depends on if you got, well, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll speak to that a little bit. So there's two ways to answer that. And the first is really about where you interconnect PV. Historically, you could sort of interconnect PV in several different locations. In the IQ8, because it's now grid forming, it must be interconnected into the system controller. So IQ8 always has to be interconnected in the system controller. Now, there are different configurations of how you would install the system controller. If you're doing whole home backup and you have storage, you're really into energy independence. You can really probably operate, if it's sized correctly, very similar to the way you would live when the grid's up. On the other hand, if you're just starting out, you just want to just kick the tires and see what it's like. You're just really kind of looking at the essentials. Well, starting with an Encharge 3 and maybe a 6 kW or 7 kW or maybe even larger IQ8 PV system, that's going to lend itself more to a backup loads panel where you just have some loads backed up.
Okay, we got another one. The Enphase website system builder, has it been updated to now account for full array power when evaluating battery size needs?
Yeah, so my understanding is it has been, and obviously the way you size a system is going to depend on the region. In the case of I'll speak to the general principle. What Enphase still recommends is if you're doing backup with storage, we recommend supporting at least the largest single load with your IQ8s. That way you can operate at night in the same way as you would during the day. However, obviously you can become, with our new limitless storage solar ratio, there are cases where you may want to go much larger PV than storage.
And again, one of the big things that we always say that it's a great value is to create a close relationship with your installer so that you can benefit from their experience, benefit from the fact that this is what they do every single day and they can bring that to the table. At Cultivate Solar Solutions, we're very, very fortunate to have an in-house professional engineer. So when he's designing our systems, that's what he does. He designs solar systems for our customers. So we bring an awful lot of experience to your house that we're uniquely qualified to present to you. And again, there's no charge.
That was all the questions that we've had come in so far.
Nathan, anything else that you want to add that we haven't talked about?
Well, you guys did a really good job of answering the questions while I was struggling to get connected. So I can't think of anything offhand, but maybe you guys, Eduardo, Raul, maybe you have some questions for me.
To be honest with you, from the different products that we have rolled out, and you know that we rolled out many products together from Enphase, this has been probably one of the smoothest rollout that we've had. The product is exceeding our expectation. The homeowner is thrilled with what she's gotten. She's already gone through several power outages, and one time I'm actually the one that called her because I got a system alert. She goes, "No, I'm not. I have power." I'm like, "No, you don't. You're off the grid right now," and she hadn't even noticed. So it is a great system. It's just hard to wrap around because it is technology that we have been waiting for such a long time, and it's also technology that a lot of people thought was always there. But this is really the first time that it's been available on the market.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't necessarily fully understand is how sophisticated and fast the IQ8 microinverters are operating at. In the past, people have stacked inverters. Off-grid guys have put together a couple of inverters and stacked them up and increased the power capacity. But it's always required a secondary cable. So you had to run a cable between these inverters to make sure they were always in sync. The IQ8s don't require any additional cabling other than the voltage, essentially the power conductors. So they are truly forming a true microgrid. They're all independent devices that come together to form a microgrid system. That's really unique. The microinverters just operate incredibly fast, making thousands of decisions every cycle on what to do. So I think that's a kind of a really unique system, and we're really excited to have it out.
And one of the things that we really didn't touch base at all is that the homeowner has an application right on their phone. It's called Enphase app, and it gives them access to all that information, all of that decision making that the microinverters are doing, per second. They have access to it in real life, so they can also, have a better experience with their system.
We did have 2 questions come in. The first one, I don't want a separate backup loads panel if I only have a 10 kW battery. Would that be allowed?
It all depends.
Yeah, so,
go ahead.
Well, yeah, so I'll speak to that a little bit. So the National Electric Code requires that the largest single load be backed up by the standalone supply. So if you're doing a whole home backup and you only have a 10 kilowatt hour system, you probably want to bring load control into that equation for at night to basically shed things like your HVAC. Because obviously during the day, the HVAC will run fine, but at night, the HVAC will overload essentially the Encharge, so the IQ battery now. So we recommend that if you're going to do a whole home backup, you do support the largest standalone, the largest load from the Encharge or the IQ battery now.
I will tell you from experience that our customers who have tried doing whole home with smaller battery systems are not having the same experience as our homeowners who have allowed us to design the systems correctly with the right amount of battery for the load and the time that they want to back it up. While this system, you can start small and you can grow it, that absolutely works. For the better experience, load management is a priority.
Yeah, and I will also say that, like Nathan said, we have the option of load shedding. So let's say that you don't have the money to invest upfront in a battery bank, and you want to start small with a battery bank. You can still do a full home backup, but getting those big loads in a PV shed relay. So when the grid goes out, those big loads that will overload your battery bank will shut off automatically, and then down the road you can add more batteries and get rid of those PV load shedding controls.
And Eduardo, and those load shedding controls are already built into the IQ system controller, correct?
Yeah, and inside the IQ system controller we have small relays, small contactors that when the grid goes out, you can program those contacts to turn on and off depending on different circumstances. So let's say that I want to shut off when I'm off the grid, so you can program that in. Or you can say, okay, I want to shut off these loads when I am 30% state of charge in my batteries or 50% state of charge. So you can actually program those loads to shut on and off depending on different variables.
And there's also products on the market today available. For example, Span.io. It is a smart control electric panel that offer some capabilities of load shedding, not automatic, not built in to work directly with the your storage system, but gives you, as a homeowner, access to turn on and off loads by circuit, allowing you to enhance the experience of your storage solution.
So someone was asking, can load control be manual, or do we have to go with a control panel that manages loads?
It can be done manually through the IQ system controller. It can also be done through a smart panel that you manually control.
Yeah, and I think the question may have also been, can you manually just turn off loads? And that's certainly an option as well.
Absolutely.
You can definitely manually switch things off, but obviously a little bit of automation will help.
Where can I find the info sheets for the IQ8 models that were discussed?
Email us and we'll get them to you. They're also available at the Enphase website. But if you like, email us, info@cvsolar.us, info@cvsolar.us. I will be happy to provide you with the information. Also available at the Enphase website.
How many loads can the control panel manage?
So it's not loads, you have 4 relays, so 4 contactors. So you can use those contactors to actuate different relays, so as many relays as you need to. And it all depends on, what loads you have. We can basically control all the loads of your house as long as, as long as the relay is properly sized, we don't overload the contactors. I mean, there are many variables. We have 4 control points, so we can program those 4 control points to actuate based on different variables. But it's not it's not how many loads I can control. It's like you have 4 points of control, so you can connect to those contactors, different relays.
Is there a maximum or a minimum amperage to each one of those compactors, or is it limitless?
60 amp, I'll say, is the maximum, but I mean 60 amp is the biggest load in your house. I don't think you're gonna have anything bigger than 60 amp. Probably a sub panel, but usually an AC unit is 40, 50 amps. Maybe an instant water heater, but usually an instant water heater, a tankless water heater is if it is more than 50 amp, it's because of multiple double pole breakers connected. So you can control those individual double pole breakers with relays. So there's no load that you cannot control with the system controller.
Additionally, if you really need to go very, very large, there are some additional options with interposing relays and larger, 125, 200 amp contactors.
How much does it cost to install load control?
So the load control is built into the cost of the system because, like I said, we are doing right now load control through the IQ system controller.
But it also depends on the relay. I mean, there are relays that are very inexpensive, like 20 or 30 amp relays. And then there are relays that are really expensive, like 60 or 70 amp. I'll say it's case by case. So case by case.
Are those points that you mentioned included in the Enphase certification for the IQ8s?
When you say the points,
so this customer is saying that they have found most installers in their area are not well educated in these nuisances.
we have found that also. That's why it's important that you talk to your installer. Enphase does a great job in their university. They provide the opportunity for the installers to have the information. They actually monitor the installers very closely to make sure that the systems are actually installed correctly. Enphase has gone as far as hiring their own field specialists in different areas. So those Enphase personnel, field specialists, are available, to look at systems, and they're constantly training those installers. But unfortunately, you'll still find installers out there that may not take advantage of the resources. So it's very important that you do a good job vetting your installer to make sure that they are qualified and they're prepared to provide you with the best service possible. You can always reach out to Enphase directly. I know that they themselves have their list of installers for any different area, and they'll recommend you somebody who's qualified and trained with their products.
Okay, we're caught up on our questions.
So I think we're also out of time.
Yeah, we've hit the hour mark.
Nathan, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. I think it speaks volume of our relationship with Enphase. When the staff actually joins us to help our customers make informed decisions. We want to thank you very much. If you're joining us late and you have some questions that we haven't had time to answer, send them in. I will respond to you either through Facebook and or directly. If you want to reach out to us, info@citysolar.us, 305-280-0638. We are super excited about this product launch that is going off so well, and we're proud and honored to be your Enphase installer. Thank you.
Thank you.